Imagine a world without the idea of democracy, without the concept of tragic heroes, without the very language we use to debate justice, freedom, and the role of the individual. It might seem impossible, but many of the building blocks of our modern culture and politics trace back to a single place, ancient Greece. Today we'll travel through time, from marble stoas to modern parliaments, and unravel how myths and innovations of that era became the scaffolding of our contemporary world. Start with the most familiar claim, democracy. Athens, in the 5th century BCE, did not invent the simple notion of collective decision-making, but it transformed it into a political experiment of unparalleled reach. Citizens gathered in open assembly, argued, voted. The idea that ordinary free men could deliberate and decide public policy challenged the prevailing monarchies and aristocracies of the ancient world. This was not a perfect system. Women, slaves, and foreigners were excluded. Yet its core principles endure. Modern representative democracies borrow heavily from Athenian rhetoric, citizen participation, public debate, and the ambition that law should reflect the will of the governed. Even the term citizen carries the echo of Greek political thought, refined and expanded over centuries, but never fully abandoning its original concern with civic duty and communal life. Next, consider law and philosophy. The Greeks produced thinkers who insisted that reason and argument, not divine caprice, should guide human affairs. Socrates taught the power of questioning assumptions. Plato explored ideal forms of justice in the Republic. Aristotle categorized knowledge and proposed constitutions as practical blueprints. Their inquiries shaped legal traditions and educational systems across Europe and beyond. Concepts such as natural law, civic virtue, and the ethical responsibilities of rulers owe a direct intellectual lineage to Greek philosophy. When modern jurists write about rights, or when politicians invoke the common good, they are speaking a language partly assembled in the Lyceum and the Academy. Myth and drama served as powerful cultural tools. Greek tragedies and comedies were not mere entertainment. They were civic rituals that engaged citizens with questions of fate, responsibility, and moral ambiguity. The tragic hero flawed, capable of great deeds yet subject to hubris, remains a central motif in literature and film. Modern storytelling borrows Greek structures, the tragic arc, catharsis, the chorus that comments on events. Hollywood and world theater continue to recycle these patterns because they speak to universal human conflicts, the struggle between individual desire and societal expectation, the limits of power, the consequences of pride. Architecture and aesthetics also traveled from Greece to modern cities. The columns and pediments of classical temples evolved into the neoclassical facades of courthouses, museums, and government buildings around the world. Those designs were never merely decorative. They were meant to invoke ideals, order, balance, permanence. Governments adopted classical architecture to signal legitimacy and continuity, hoping that citizens would associate their institutions with the rationality and civic pride of ancient Athens and Rome. Language and rhetorical tradition remain another enduring gift. Greek roots populate scientific, medical, and political vocabulary. The very practice of public oration, the deliberate art of persuading citizens, was refined by orators like Demosthenes and philosophers like Socrates. Modern politicians, lawyers, and activists still rely on strategies first formalized in ancient rhetorical handbooks: ethos, pathos, logos. Finally, the Greek model of civic life, where arts, politics, and philosophy intertwined, offers a subtler legacy. The ideal of the educated citizen, conversant in both public affairs and moral reasoning, inspired later models of republican education and civic engagement. That ideal is imperfectly realized, continually debated, but it persists as an aspiration, that citizens should be informed, reflective, and active participants in communal life. Myth became reality when ideas rooted in a small cluster of city-states traveled across centuries, adapted, and reappeared in new forms. Modern democracy, law, literature, architecture, and rhetoric all carry fragments of ancient Greece. We live in a world shaped by those fragments, sometimes faithfully, sometimes transformed. Recognizing that lineage is not an exercise in romanticizing the past, it is a reminder that our political and cultural vocabularies are the product of long conversations. Understanding that helps us decide what to keep, what to reform, and how to build institutions worthy of the ideals they inherited.